Okay, so this is part two of my labor delivery. So, as I was saying, the doctor came in and she was just very rude to the staff. Like, obviously, when you have an epidural, you have a catheter in, and so she's like screaming at the staff, "Get the catheter out now! Get it out! She's at 10 centimeters. We need to start pushing." And I said, it's okay, like they're trying their best. Because when I looked up, like, they were literally setting up everything else, getting the warmer ready for the baby, any tools that possibly you could need during labor. And I'm like, they're working, they're trying their best, and I'm in pain, so I felt like if I'm in pain and I'm able to be nice to people, you should be able to be nice to people. And to me, I felt like I was just like, like a lineup for her. Like, I don't know you anyway, so I don't give a crap. So I'm like, okay, let me just work. And so now she's telling me to put my legs in the stirrups, and I'm telling her like, can I just have a second? Cause like I'm literally having a contraction, and she's telling me like, no, put your legs up. I'm like, I'm in pain, please, just give me a second. And so I finally, finished the contraction. I put my legs up, and then she's telling me, okay, with the next contraction, you need to start pushing. And so I said, okay. She said, chin to your chest, grab the back of your legs. So that's what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. It's my fourth child. And so I start pushing. It didn't take long. I took 5 pushes or 4 pushes, and he was out pretty quick. He came out, and the NICU people were already there because, they were set and prepared because obviously he was early. So I didn't get to see his face or anything. They brought him over. I heard him cry, but not he didn't do that big cry that he needed to do in order to get all that fluid and stuff out. So I could hear the little suction and stuff they were putting on him. Um and so he's over there. My husband's like trying to see him and stuff, and they're like keep pushing him out of the way, and he was getting pretty frustrated with that. And so then they're like, okay, we have the stuff on him. Would you like to see him? And I'm thinking, I don't know. In my mind, I wasn't thinking that he was gonna have all that stuff on him. And I thought maybe oxygen at the most, but they had all this stuff, so I still couldn't see his face. They put him on me, and then they said, okay, like they gave me 10 seconds, and they said, okay, we're gonna go, and we're gonna go get the him set up in the NICU, and then you'll be able to see him. So I said, okay. Um, it's really hard. So I'm preparing myself for like, okay, he's gonna be down there. I'm gonna have to wait, cause usually you have to wait in that room that you give birth in for about 2 hours to make sure, like, if you're having any bleeding or anything that has stopped and all that. You went to the restroom, you got your diaper on, so on and so forth. So they take my son out, and then the doctor's like, okay, it's time to push out your placenta, on your next contraction, push it out. But she didn't even let me push. She just started ripping it out, and it was hurting really bad. Um, and so she pulls the placenta out, and then the nurses come and they start pushing on my stomach, the worst part. But I started to feel really dizzy. They started pushing out so much blood. I could hear them talking. They said, oh, this is a lot of blood. This is too much. These clots are too big. Um, we might need to get a transfusion. We might need to give her medicine to stop the bleeding and stuff. And so I'm still kind of in and out of it because obviously I just had given birth, and so I'm still a little bit like tired and restless a little bit. And so I'm like, what are they talking about? And so I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they tell me, okay, we're going to give you this injection because you're having really bad clots and we don't want you to bleed out. You've um, lost a significant amount of blood. And also on top of it, I was shaking because, the epidural. And then I was feeling really, really cold. And I tell you, I was feeling really, really cold. And so they had taken my blood pressure. They told me that my blood pressure was dangerously low. I don't know what the numbers are. But at that moment, I just got really scared. And I thought that my kids and my husband were going to be without me. I didn't know what was happening. And so they said, okay, we're going to give you another medication to try to, like, bring your blood pressure back up. And I was just cold and I was shaking. And then I just sat there for about an hour. And I started to feel my legs, like, defrosting from the epidural, because if you've had epidural, that's literally what it feels like when you're freezing outside and then your legs are like defrosting from it. And so I was telling the doctors, I'm like, oh, finally my legs are starting to defrost, and they're like, we're gonna use that, because they thought it was pretty funny. They're like, never heard anybody say that. And so I told them, I said, I still feel cold. They took my blood pressure again. They said it was still low, but it was going up. And I said, okay, that's good. And I said, what does it have to be at in order for it to be normal? And she said, the 120/80, or in that range, like pretty close. And so eventually, after the 2 hours, it started to go back up. They still kept the blood pressure cuff on me since it was low. But they said it was normal enough that I could go to my postpartum room. And so I get up and they put the diaper on me and stuff. I'm still having a significant amount of bleeding, but it's going down enough to where they feel safe that I'm able to, go to the postpartum room. They put a diaper on me and stuff, and they're holding me and stuff. I felt really dizzy. I don't know if it's because it's my fourth child, but I felt really dizzy when I got up. So I got the diaper all on. We get into the postpartum room, and on the way there, they say, okay, you can see your son at NICU. I said, okay, that's awesome. I can finally see him. Still can't see his face. It took probably a week before I could actually see his face, because they have, like, the CPAP machine, and then the oxygen, and then they had, like, the little feeding tube for running face. So there was so much on his face, so I really couldn't see his little face. But I just went to my room. They were telling me to go to sleep. I'm like, no, like, I need to pump. Like, any breastfeeding mama knows you got to start on that pumping. So I'm pumping. I set alarm on my phone to make sure I'm pumping every 2 hours and stuff. And I'm getting colostrum right away. Within 2 days, I was already, like, pumping a lot. Like, I was pumping, like, 3 ounces out each breast within 1 to 2 days. And so I was just pumping so much. And then NICU's like, okay, we're running out of room in the freezer here. And I just started, like, storing it at home too. But then my freezer started getting full. I'm an oversupplier. I naturally have a higher prolactin than normal. And so I knew that it was going to be a lot of milk. And so I'm like, this is normal for me. But usually I pump between 8 to 10 ounces out of each breast, so about 16 to 20 ounces each pumping session. But I don't know, I was pumping more this time. I was pumping 21 to 24 ounces each pumping session. So it's out of normal for me. So I'm like, you know what, let me just store it. And I was storing it, just running out of room. But I've been able to help someone, so that feels good. And I've been working with a donor. Sorry guys, again, I just woke up. Working with a donor place to try to be able to start donating, so that'll be good. Yeah, I just really wanted to share my labor and delivery and how my experience went. Let me know in the comments how your experiences went. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.